Hi everyone, it's me, Beaty Kelly Sunflower. So I thought I'd hop onto this hashtag that's going around. It's called hashtag only 10 mass market decks. And I first saw this hashtag on Meg's channel. So Meg has got a YouTube channel called Rose Honey Ritual. And Meg and somebody called Thea, who has got a channel called The Garden Goddess, decided to reinvent an old hashtag. So the old hashtag was called only 10 decks, and they decided to put a twist on it and make it into mass market decks, which I think is a great thing, because I think that a lot of mass market decks are underrated. So the first deck that I want to show you is my Albano-Waite Tarot deck. It's a bit kind of mashed up. Meg and Thea said that how RWS decks and FOF decks are exempt from the 10, but I thought I'd show it anyway because I use this deck quite a lot. What I like about this deck is the vibrancy. I love the bright colours, and I like the fact that the suits are colour coded. So for example, the swords are this nice kind of olive green, the cups are blues, see the swords again. Oops, the wands are kind of this like orangey colour. And the pentacles are this beautiful kind of green. So that's my first deck that I want to share with you. Okay, so the next deck that I want to show you is a red feather or shifter deck. Yeah, it's a red feather deck. This is called the Spirit Within Tarot by Stephen Bright. It's kind of glossy. These are the backs of the decks, and it comes with a nice little guidebook. And even though this guidebook is quite small, it's really kind of informative. It's kind of short and punchy, and that's how I like my guidebooks. And I also like the writing style of Stephen Bright. He doesn't seem to waffle, just get straight to the point, and I like that sort of writing style. So this is a Rider-Waite-Smith inspired deck, and it's got silhouettes, and I just like the ambience of this deck. It's nothing special, but for me, I just find it really kind of easy to read with. And again, the suits are colour coded. So, you know, the cups are blue. The pentacles are green. Let's see if I can find some wands. The swords are again mustard yellow. And the wands are like this kind of orangey colour. And because it's just silhouettes, it's also kind of like gender neutral, because sometimes you can't really tell the gender of the person. And I like that in a tarot deck. So this is the Spirit Within by Stephen Bright. Okay, so the second deck that I want to show you comes in a pair, because I do tend to use them together. So this is the Dreamway Tarot and the Way Lenormand, and I think this is a US Games deck by Rome Choi. And what I like about this deck is the vibrancy again and the quirkiness of the deck. So look at the characters, aren't they just kind of quirky and nice? And I like the backs of the cards. They kind of got this kind of snake skin effect. So it's kind of whimsical, dreamy. And when this deck first came out, there wasn't much decks in the market like this. It's just really nice, and because it's so dreamy, I can really tell the story that the card's trying to portray. Look at this devil card, like the devil horns, and it's, you know, even though the archetypes are bound, the devil also seems to be bound as well in this deck. It's got a really tight kind of cape on. It's just really, and you know, it's got the wings there as well. It's just really kind of whimsical. The Dreamway Lenormand is just a 36 card Lenormand deck. Comes with a little guidebook. These are the backs of the cards, but again, I like the kind of whimsical kind of artwork. And as I said before, I do tend to read them together. So the third deck that I'd like to show you is called the Urban Tarot deck. This was created by somebody called Robin Scott. I do believe this is a US Games deck. This deck was gifted to me by the lovely Oyers girl, or Queen of Set, about 3 years ago. It's Foth inspired, and I think it's based on New York. It comes with a guidebook that's okay. It's got quite a lot of information in there, and these are the backs of the cards. But what I like about this deck is the keywords, because I think the keywords are rather fitting, and also the modern imagery. So this is the Six of Swords, Seven of Swords. I mean, some of the minor arcana are kind of pippish. Look at the Empress card. You know, that looks like a grandmother nursing her grandchild. It's just got a modern take. The Emperor, the Hierophant. It's just a really nice deck. Worry, that's the Five of Pentacles. So this is the Urban Tarot. The next deck that I'd like to show you is the Everyday Enchantment Tarot by Poppy Pallen. I love this deck. Let's take some cards out for you. Look at the gorgeous backs of a very modern deck. Again, they're colour-coded. Swords are kind of purple. The pentacles or coins are kind of green. All the majors are in black. The blue, the cups are blue. That reminds me when I was at school doing my swimming. And the wands are like a reddish brown. But what I like about this deck is that it kind of reminds me of 1970s London that I was born and grew up in. Well, I was born in the 60s, but it reminds me of my childhood in London in the 70s. You know, this reminds me of the Green and Common protesters that used to protest about environmental issues in the 70s. And look at this Two of Blades. He's trying to, you know, diffuse an argument. A mother, an older mother, you know, feeling trapped in by her baby crying, or grandchild. This guy's got a really naughty type kind of expression on his face. But it's just relatable for me, because as I said before, it just reminds me of London in the 1970s, early 80s. Look at the skateboarders. Strength. This looks like somebody that is competing in the Paralympics. It's just a really kind of relatable, for me, deck, and also a good reader. The True Intuitive Tarot by Rachel True. The guidebook is really informative as well. I keep mine in this little bag, so let's open it up. I love the backs of the cards. It portrays the suits of the minor arcana. And I just love the imagery. It's just fun, bright, cheerful, you know, easy to read, relatable in some parts, and just a really nice colour palette. And I think it's the book of this deck that sold me more, but it really is nice to work with. It gives really good readings, and I just love it. So this is the Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore. It's a Llewellyn deck. So I keep it in its bag. This deck's quite dark. When I say dark, I don't mean dark as in shadowy dark, but dark within its colouring. kind of like a sepia colour. And what I like about this deck is the era. It seems to be based around the steampunk kind of Victorian era. And the Victorian era and the 1950s are two eras that are kind of dear to my heart. Look at the backs of the cards. Aren't they just gorgeous? It's Rider-Waite Smith inspired. And you don't really see people talking about this deck very much. Well, I don't anyway. Look at that Three of Swords. It's gorgeous. It's like a heart made out of steel. I tend to use this deck, though, more in the winter. Only because of the kind of colouring. It's this kind of like dark. Well, dark for me because I'm a person that I'm more drawn to really kind of like colourful, vibrant decks. So for me, this is quite a dark deck. Look at that High Priestess. You know, somebody reading tarot cards. I think this is one of the best High Priestesses I've seen. So this is the Steampunk Tarot. So my next deck is an Oracle deck. Keep it in this Kendall and Kylie bag. This is called the Ancestor Spirit Oracle cards by Jade Sky. I saw this on Amethyst Ascension's tag, but this is a deck that you don't really see spoken much about on TarotTube. It's a beautiful Oracle deck. Comes with a nice guidebook as well. And it's just got some really nice keywords like go after your goals, answer the call, and it's quite a diverse deck as well. Look at that one, interact and relate, gorgeous. Remember who you are, and it's got some semi keywords down the bottom as well. This is my favourite one, have courage. So I tend to use this deck for rounding up tarot readings, or sometimes if I just want to have a one card pull, this is the deck that I tend to go for. But I think this deck's quite an underrated deck. Gorgeous. And these are the backs of the cards. Those lovely flames. So this is the Ancestor Spirit Oracle cards. So the next tarot deck that I want to show you is called the Bianca Nero Tarot deck. It's just a US Games deck, black and white. But what I like about this deck is the actual faces of the people. I just think it's quite a pretty deck, even though it is black and white. It's also got like a masculine vibe to it, which I like, because a lot of decks tend to be feminine. So even though it's got both masculine and feminine archetypes, it's just, to me, it's got a very masculine aura. And the people in this deck as well tend to be a bit more on the mature side, which I like, because a lot of the modern decks tend to have younger people, but this deck embraces masculinity and the mature person. I just like the imagery. I like the facial features, and I just like the way that it's kind of like very clean cut. So I'll just show you the backs of the cards. So the Bianca Nero Tarot, and it's a US Games deck. This is the 8th Coin Tarot deck. I've had this deck for years. Beautiful. Comes with a mat. Very informative guidebook. This deck is Rider-Waite inspired. The pictures are kind of close up-ish. But it's kind of like whimsical. Quite unusual imagery, kind of semi-pipped. I just like the aesthetic. I don't know why I like it, but it's just something about it that I like. Oh God, look at that Ten of Swords. That's quite a deep cut, isn't it? Very deep cut. But I just think it's well illustrated, and I also find this deck very easy to connect with in readings. So this is the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. The final deck that I want to show you is called the Hip Chick Tarot. It's a red feather deck and it's by Maria Storm. So it comes with a really nice guidebook that's in the box, and I keep it in this daisy kind of bag because it goes very well with the backs of the cards. I do love this kind of daisy print. So this deck is vibrant. They're a bit wider but shorter than a normal tarot card. It's an all feminine deck. It's kind of modern. Some of the words have been changed. So this flow was temperance and there's no numbering, so I don't think it'd be good for a beginner. The pentacles are called earth, and again these are also kind of color coded. So the earth, which is the pentacle suit, is kind of like a brown. The crate, which is the wand, is kind of like this reddish color. The teen are the knights. The fill are the cups. It's kind of like this kind of bluish color. And think is the suit of swords. So this would be the 5 of swords. 4 of crate, 4 of wands. But it's just a very modern deck. It's very minimalist, which I kind of like. I don't like too much clutter on my decks. I just like to be able to just see the story without anything obstructing. So this would be the 8 of Pentacles. It's just a really nice deck in my opinion of strength. Whimsical. So the Major Arcana is also color-coded purple. So even though there's no numbers, you can, if you're like me and you're very in touch with color, you know that the blue ones are the cups, you know, the fill suit. Anything that's purple is the Major Arcana. The universe is the world. It's also kind of multicultural, and I love it. So these are my 10 mass market decks. I will leave links to the decks in the description bar. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.